Hi, RIOT podcast friends. How you doing?
Hi, Obi.
Good. Hi, Nikki.
Well, I was also just playing the part of the podcast listeners.
Okay.
Saying hi, Obi, back to you.
Okay, well, hi. It's great.
Thanks for putting out another podcast today.
What's your checking account and router number?
Scam alert. I'm not supposed to give that out.
Okay. Today in the podcast, we talk about Cyberpunk 2077.
Aww.
Nikki brings that news.
I only care for one reason. I don't really care that much. It's not like I'm in love with the guy, but, you know, we're fond of him, and he's a part of it. So we talk about the gaming news that they have.
Yeah, we talk about Mayor de Blasio's take on Thanksgiving travel.
Get ready for
What
it.
What a weird thing. And then we also talk about some upcoming stuff on Netflix, what CBS is doing. We also talk streaming comfort food, and we grab some responses on what people say their streaming comfort food is.
So even if you're a part of the podcast, listener world, you can definitely still get in. So let us know your streaming comfort shows. You can text us anytime at 877-2RadioU. It just helps if you put that you're a podcast listener, so we'll know. And then we'll get back with you when we're in the studio next. So send us your shows or movies that you like.
Okay. Anything else you want to get into?
Thanks for listening.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye. Have a great day.
Listening to the worst of the riot is the equivalent of standing in line at the BMV. Ugh. Worst of the riot. Radio U.
You know what? This morning, I guess it was last night or it was the middle of the night or something, but sometime in the last 12 hours, I've become aware of. We've talked a lot about the election.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. We've talked a lot about the console launches, of course.
Yes.
An even bigger deal.
Yes.
And that's that a new Xbox and new PlayStation will be out in less than 2 weeks. But you know what we haven't talked about? Okay, wait. Trick or Treat is coming. That's a big deal. But do you know what we haven't talked about?
What else have we forgotten about?
We fall back this weekend.
Yeah, we gain an hour, so we get an extra hour of sleep.
Right. We get an extra hour of sleep, but now the sun will go down at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, you're right, which we actually don't really mind because, technically we're supposed to go to bed a little earlier since we get up so early in the morning. And it's always a pain when it's so sunny until like 10 o'clock at night that we actually prefer when it starts to get more nighttime, darker earlier.
You know what's crazy is, like, I'm kind of joking about the sun setting at 4 o'clock. When we make the switch this Sunday in New York City, sunset will be at 4:52 p.m. officially.
It really does set that early.
And then think about this. It'll be at 4:52, but there is still like 6 more weeks of the days getting shorter. So they're going to be having sunset at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's again, awful.
It takes a little time to get used to, but I don't think I really mind. I don't mind it being that early.
You know what? I don't mind like a 7 p.m. or an 8 p.m., but like 3:30 in the afternoon, at some point it's like, all right, guys, come on. I have to see the sun at least for a little while.
Well, we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's on Saturday when you will go and get an extra hour of sleep. So you fall back, so you get an extra hour.
And don't forget to change the batteries in your fire or
your
smoke alarms.
Detectors. Yeah, you are supposed to do that too.
I always feel like that it's burned in my brain, and it worked because in first grade, the fireman comes in to tell you whatever, and then don't forget to change the batteries. That's just the part where I go, man, I should really change the batteries, and then 6 months go by.
It doesn't mean that you do it, but you remember that you're supposed to.
What's worse than the worst of the riot? The worst of the riot podcast. Yeah. You did this to yourself. Podcast. Riot. Radio U.
You know, some of the stuff that I've been doing while I've been at home is I've been pondering getting a hog.
A whole hog or a motorcycle?
A motorcycle, of course.
Okay, so not like a ham?
No.
You could see how we would think it would go either way, right?
Well, you spend enough time by yourself, and having a hog as a pet seems perfectly reasonable.
Not as a pet, but more like a holiday meal, and you're just getting it early before the rush happens.
Well, you know that too. I raised that hog, and now I'm going to eat him.
Like, how long did you raise it? Just a couple of weeks. That was it.
I took him from fat to very fat.
So you're talking about a motorcycle, though.
Yeah, I am, kind of. Harley Davidson, I guess yesterday, officially unveiled the production line model of their new bike.
Oh, they did?
They're doing an e-bike, which we actually talked about that. I don't know when, but just the idea that they had kind of announced like, hey, we're going to get into the e-bike market. And it is the most un-Harley Davidson looking thing you can possibly imagine. This e-bike versus like, I don't know, a fat body or whatever the heck they call it. My dad had a Harley, so I visited a lot of Harley dealerships when I was a kid, but I don't remember what they're called.
Sure.
I just remember my dad.
That Harley style, it's pretty iconic.
I just know my dad didn't want a Sportster. Didn't want one of those. Whatever, like that for sure. But this e-bike is called the Serial One Cycle, and it has a light-up Harley-Davidson logo on it. It has fat white tires, a thin black frame, brown leather seat, and a flexible brown chain, which, whatever, and it's an electronic bike. The thing that kills me is, though they haven't said how much it's going to cost, they say a few $1,000s.
Well, this makes more sense now that I looked at it. So you mean an electronic bicycle, not a bike as in like a Harley bike, which to me I was envisioning an e-bike as in like just, I don't know, a new style for their motorcycles. But this is a bicycle.
Right. So I guess I should have done a better job being. It's an electronic bicycle, like an e-bike or what you would see in downtown where you rent a bike.
Well, when I looked at the pictures, like, wow, it's really changed. That's a motorcycle. How is that a motorcycle? But now it makes more sense. So that'll be available in March of next year.
So they say that the e-bike, the electronic bike market, they expect it to be worth billions in the next couple of years. Like they say the e-bike is going to be the new hotness.
Well, and they also, Harley's been talking about for a while that the iconic Harley Davidson, that old school style motorcycle look, it's just not been selling as well for them. So they needed to move into either a new modern look or the e-bike sort of realm to be able to continue to grow because they just weren't selling motorcycles as much.
Well, I'm looking at just a website for motorcycle prices, and the idea your cheapest Harley that I see here, $7,600 is what you could pay for it. I'm sure it probably doesn't even have a wheel or something, but like that's it
though.
So the idea, I mean, I don't know. Like I guess it just depends on usage, but if they're saying a few $1,000s, so let's say $3,000 or $4,000 for this electronic bike, for double that you could have an actual motorcycle. Then again, you live in the city and you don't want all that noise and pollution.
You don't want all that, and then you have to have a special, motorcycle license, but you wouldn't have to for an e-bike.
That's true.
Seems like less stress if you just have a bicycle instead of a motorcycle.
What about just a moped?
Oh yeah, that could work too. But again, if you get a high enough speed on one of those, you're going to need your special license too.
It's a good call, Nikki. So there it is, the Harley Davidson. Is it Series 1? Serial 1. Serial 1 e-bicycle.
How to survive the riot. Do the complete opposite of everything they say. You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
Man, I am so out of touch with real people in the world because what have I been talking about? Video game launches and elections and all this stuff, when in reality, I don't even think we have once mentioned that the World Series was happening.
Well, we talked about college football for our, favorite teams returning, but outside of that, we totally missed a lot of basketball and we missed a lot of baseball.
Okay, the basketball, at least I knew was going on, and I like we didn't get to it. We should have. But I can honestly, I am 100% serious when I tell you, I did not know that the World Series was happening.
But you knew baseball was still going on, but you just didn't know that the World Series part.
Correct. And here's the part I don't understand is, I look at these, I scroll through headlines and stuff. Shouldn't that have showed up as a top 5 sports story somewhere?
Not necessarily,
that I would have seen it?
Because all the sports stuff is still being taken up by election stuff or COVID stuff. And for this, they finally got it in there because that was the end of the World Series.
Well, I don't know what to say about it. I just know that the World Series ended last night. I 100% missed it. The Dodgers won their 7th World Series in a Game 6 win over the Rays.
So it was their first one since 1988. So obviously fans are excited.
And some of that excitement spilled into the team in a way that is not that great.
You went a little high pitch there.
Well, that's because it's not a very good thing.
Well, Justin Turner is the third baseman for the Dodgers, and they say that he tested positive for COVID mid-game. He was removed. So I'm sure he was tested before the game started, and either it took that long or maybe they had to run it again. But he was removed mid-game when his test became positive.
And then...
What happened next, Obi?
After the Dodgers won, he came rushing out of the bullpen with everybody else and celebrating and all this stuff, and he wasn't even wearing a mask.
So he was celebrating, took some pictures, posed with the trophy, gave some hugs, they're saying. So now they're recommending the players might already have to do this anyways. I'm not really up on the COVID quarantine rules for the baseball teams, but they're saying that they really now the whole team should at that point, take a 10 to 14 day break, basically, because they've been in contact with him if his test really was positive.
I mean, I guess the good news is the World Series is the end of the season anyway. Maybe that was the attitude.
Maybe they already had a quarantine scheduled for the end of it before they go back out into their families and stuff. Could have been.
I don't know. I do think it's hilarious, though. I'm sure they don't. But just the idea of I've got COVID. I want to lick the trophy.
Just head back out on the field, which you're not really supposed to. So congratulations, though, to the Dodgers. First World Series win since 1988.
This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
So, Nikki, you and I are both Amazon Prime members, correct?
We are, yeah.
Okay, so that means you and I obviously, I think that makes us shareholders in Amazon, right?
I don't think it actually does. I don't think we reap any benefits. We pay for it and we use it, but, at least we get fast shipping. That's fine. Didn't want to be a shareholder anyways.
You guys can keep it. I don't need it.
I prefer the setup that we're a part of now.
Right. Well, I don't know where you stand on Jeff Bezos, our Lord and Amazon Prime master, but he actually, there's this rumor floating today that he's going to buy CNN.
I saw that. So does that mean it'd be like Amazon Network? It would be a cable network or something? What does this mean?
I want them to buy CNN, and I want them to change it to ANN, Amazon News Now.
Well, I wondered if it would stay news, like a news network, because, CNN is, whether you like it or not, people are
They're
divided.
Floundering.
It's been floundering for a very, very long time, so it actually does lose, they're saying, a lot of money for them. But the question is, would you keep it as a news network, or would you rebrand it as something else? Even though CNN has been a name for so long, it's not the same, doesn't have the same name like it used to back in the day, or would it just become a network to run their shows for Amazon? Would it become something like that?
I don't know. You know what, Nikki? Great questions.
Yeah, I'm curious what they would do with it.
Yeah, I don't know, but I do know this. Jeff Bezos wants to buy it, and I'm on board. I want it to turn into just one big propaganda mouthpiece for Amazon.
Yeah.
That's what I just want it to turn into that.
Because it would pretty much become just like that.
I mean, maybe it wouldn't, but it would be awesome if it would. Because they're for example, I'm wandering a little far afield here, but there was, I don't know, a month, 2 months ago, I saw on all these different news networks, these Amazon news packages about how great it was to work in the warehouse and how they were taking care of their employees during COVID. And it was just one of those things where you're like, this is not news.
Well, they did that because everybody was criticizing them for how they were handling it. So that was a response to it.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is all of these news networks just tripped all over themselves to do that piece. I saw it a bunch of different places. So now Amazon doesn't even have to do that. They can just run their own stuff.
They send their own stuff out. Maybe that is cheaper for him in the long run because then you've got a place that will create all that stuff for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense. So he's been telling us what to buy, and now he can start telling us what to think.
It is not
It's
confirmed,
perfect.
though. So you're hearing like, oh, he's going to buy CNN. It's not confirmed. They're just talking about it.
It's not. You're right. But you know what, Nikki? That's how it all starts.
It'll take 2 days, and then it will. The news will be delivered of them, buying it.
Well, if you're a Prime member.
Well, it might actually be more like next day, but you'll see. We'll just see when the details come out.
You're basically listening to a real-time cringe compilation. This is The Riot on Radio U.
So I'm looking at and apparently this is the thing, the CIA puts out these, like if you follow them on Twitter, they just every week will put out a can you spot the differences
Oh, have you not seen those
photo.
before?
No, like that's a thing?
It is. It's been a thing for a while, and it's kind of a thing to see, like, to show that you're better than the CIA when you can find more things than they actually say are there.
Well, yeah, I did know that was a thing where they're always like, oh, yeah, it's a lie. Like, they'll say there's 5 differences, but there's actually 14 or something like that. But they have a Halloween-themed one right now, trick-or-treat, whatever it is. And you know what? I'm killing it. Like, I'm probably joining the CIA.
You think, is it to show you, like, you have the brain and you're noticing things and you're observant? They're just showing that you should be observing, these pictures and trying to see what's wrong.
Well, I played along because I don't know what I'm doing, but the thing that I do find myself thinking, it's kind of like when I see those tests online, they're like, hey, this is how you know you're really smart how you do on this test. I just assume that if I take that test, I'm stupid because someone that was smart wouldn't waste their time taking a test like that.
Yeah, but it's not always just the test, but it's like, hey, do you see the bunny in this picture? And if you do, then you're smarter than you think.
You're a genius.
You're a genius because you were able to notice it, or how fast can you notice it?
Yeah. Well, you know what I'm doing? I'm joining the CIA, so I'm excited, and a lot of career opportunities there. So, Nikki, my cover is still going to be morning radio DJ. So
you want to still keep going with this?
What I'm saying is that you don't have to worry about finding a new co-host. I'm going to still be here, though. You'll find me having to do a lot of traveling now,
mysteriously, right?
Or I don't know, broadcasting remotely
from your basement. Maybe you're already a part of the CIA. Now, I envision if you and I ever. CIA or any government operative sort of agency, or like I always think in the Army, they would just laugh at us if we were like, yeah, we really want to come in and help, sir. They would not want us a part of things.
Peel these potatoes, son.
Okay, we'll do it.
The worst podcast with the best listeners. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
So, Nikki, did you see what happened yesterday in the video game world?
Yeah, I did. Only because of the Keanu connection. That's the only reason why I saw it and why I stopped short to learn about it. But yeah, I did see about it. And I'm not, we're not surprised anymore, but I thought we were super close to its release. So I am a little shocked that they would do this to us, to everyone.
Go ahead, Nikki. Discuss the Keanu connection.
Cyberpunk has been delayed, and Keanu has a small part in Cyberpunk, but he's more been the what would you call the celebrity endorsement for it, or like the person they roll out to do stuff. So Cyberpunk is being delayed until December 10th. At least it's this year, but it is being delayed.
Well, it is, quote unquote, this year, but I just keep looking at it going,
Sure. Why would they, what's wrong with it? There must be something wrong, because it was supposed to be out on November 19th. Well, actually, it was supposed to be out a long time ago. Now
it's supposed to be out in April.
Yeah, then it became November 19th, and then now they're saying December 10th is actually going to be the date.
The thing that people are really mad about is a lot of people have said that they took that day off of work, and there are so many people that have tweets from their official account where they're like, hey, I'm taking this day off. Are you sure this is the release date? And they're like, absolutely, no question. This is the day.
And now you're a few weeks away from it, and they throw that on you.
So it's interesting. It has actually gone gold, which means that they have started, it passed certification, and they've actually started printing discs. And so what they're working on now are the day one patches that you would get. So what that means is that if you went and bought the disc and you couldn't patch the game, they say the game is playable, it's completable, but they're basically just continuing to fix bugs as they find them.
Yeah, they were saying the 21 days can make a big difference because there's 9 versions of Cyberpunk that comes out. So 9 different versions of current generation consoles, the new ones, the PC, all of the stuff. And they just can't get all the bugs for all of the versions in enough time.
It's pretty wild. Like when you hear it explained like that, it's like, wow, really? Because you've got Xbox One, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One X, Xbox Series X, Xbox PC. Like, it's a lot.
So the testing that's been going on, shows the bugs, but then the bugs, you can't just make one fix and then the fix goes to all the consoles. You have to fix it for this console, fix it for that console, and they just need more time. So 21 days, Cyberpunk has been delayed.
Well, I will tell you, when I got I started getting text messages about it yesterday, I thought people were just trolling me. I was like, yeah, whatever. I mean, and I don't really have exactly a lot invested in that game. It's just one of those things where...
People just wanted a new game. They wanted a big
game. Exactly. Though I did like a lot of the memes I saw yesterday of people that were like, Assassin's Creed is just like, yes! So now people will buy that instead because they have to wait.
People are also criticizing, the company that's making Cyberpunk, that the communication between the buyers is just not great. Finding so late in the game that it's being delayed again. The development of it, it's just not been handled as wonderfully as the fans would have hoped.
You know what? The game comes out, and 2 weeks later, nobody's talking about this anymore. That's how that works. So this may shock you, but gamers spend a lot of time online, and people have a tendency to whine a lot online. Who knew?
It's nice to throw a new whine in every so often. So why not? Cyberpunk is definitely going to be the people upset today, but it is just postponed for those few weeks.
It's fine. Just like James Bond. It's coming out.
Yeah.
Giving every novelty food the publicity it so blatantly desires. It's The Riot on Radio U.
So, of course, Nikki and I will not be going to any haunted houses this year because it's not our thing. And COVID, and the election, and the World Series.
But you feel like you need to preface it like it was never my thing to begin with. Like, that's not the reason why we're not wanting to go. We never really did go to a lot of that stuff.
But I've got one more reason that Nikki and I can now add to that list, and that is because we've already virtually visited a haunted house.
Well, if you've ever seen online, sometimes the house will have a listing like it's going to be sold or for sale. It'll have a virtual tour of it, and it'll kind of become viral because of a weird toilet over here or a weird thing over here.
Right.
And you wouldn't have known it except enough people noticed it when taking the virtual tour. So there's a house that has definitely become the new viral sensation to take a tour of this really terrible home.
It's that house.
It's that house. It's in Kentucky. It's in Louisville. For sale, $375,000, which I cannot believe when you look at this house that is currently what it's going for.
Do you think, how big is it? Because it does look pretty big. And it's got, look at those nice columns out front.
I don't know. They say that it looks like a house from the outside, but through its many years of being around, it's been a church, a school and daycare center, and then people have just owned it. So it really looks, when you go through the tour, like a church where it has, people comment, it has a male and female bathroom. It has when you get baptized, the tank?
The baptismal, tank. Yeah,
it has a baptismal. It has a kitchen that seems more like a working kitchen if you had a lot of people there working.
Right.
But it is so gross. And I was going to tell Obi, you have to go find, people have mapped out tours of this house. They've got drawn out maps of it because it can get kind of confusing when you're touring on the virtual tour because people want to find the bathtub. And you've always commented you want a super big bathtub. Well, the baptismal had been turned into a shower bathtub combo. So you walk into it, and that's what everybody's trying to see on this virtual tour of this house.
It's weird. And the baptismal, by the way, on your way to it, there are huge boxes that are full of adult DVDs.
It is such a gross house. I could not buy this house, even if I really wanted it, knowing all the stuff in this history of it. It looks so gross. It's so bad.
Yeah. You know what, though? I'll tell you right now, this is one of those things where that's our reaction to it. And then on TLC or DIY or whatever, they'll have like, hi, my name's Bob, and I go in and I take property no one else wants, and I turn it into a masterpiece. And they'll pay $10,000 for this and sell it for $3 million.
That's why the price of it currently for $375,000 is a bit shocking, because when you tour the house, and there's even a cat that lives there, people are like, do people still the current, I guess, would be owners, they're hoarders, so there's just boxes of just random stuff. It's a lot for me to handle. I don't like it. And the baptismal bathtub is so dirty. It's so bad.
I mean, but if I'll say, looking at it on the surface, I'm like, that would be awesome. But there's an element of like, I don't know that you could get that clean enough for me to want to go in there and take a bath. Well, like, I just don't know that you can get it clean enough for that.
Don't want to buy this house. Don't want to have that tub, but it shows you a vision for another home that's cleaner and safer and nicer, that you could get a bigger bathtub. And this might be the way. You could buy a baptismal and put it in your house.
Yeah, or we just straight up get a hot tub, and that's the bathtub now.
That could be too. It's so dirty. It's so faded. It's just so weird. But if you're interested, if you're in the Louisville area, or you just like to tour homes from, listings for real estate, this is the current hot one to take a tour of.
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah, and it's a 3D walkthrough tour. So that's what everybody's doing.
The Riot has now been downloaded. I hope you installed some antivirus. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Nikki, I have some news that is going to deeply affect Sydney.
Sydney, okay. So what is it? Is it something
Sydney?
about a acronym show?
It is.
She likes anything that's an acronym. CSI, NCIS, like the CBS ones. She was watching this old one, JAG. Which is also an acronym show. It is true.
That's Judge Advocate General in the Navy. So she is thoroughly acronymed.
So what's going on?
Well, I just want to say she's a CBS All Access subscriber. So
like a real one. She's not just using month after month of free ones. They string you along and you never end up paying. She happily pays for it.
Well, Nikki, the bad news for Sydney is that CBS has come out and said, hey, guys, we're shortening the series orders for all of our shows this year.
And so many other shows are acronym ones.
Oh, totally. So normally if you get signed by CBS, that means that you get 22 episodes. So they're going from 22 episodes to 16 to 18, depending on the show.
Oh, that's a bigger drop than I thought you would say.
Yeah. So let's see. SEAL Team, NCIS New Orleans, NCIS Los Angeles, NCIS.
It's basically, though, any in-house CBS studio show. So I don't know how often you might actually watch a show on CBS, but it's not actually coming from their studios. If it is, then that's the one that could go from 22 episodes for the season to 16 to 18.
Okay. Well, that's the word, Nikki. They're saying that they're cutting the series order on that, which... It's just one more COVID casualty, you know?
So they're saying other shows, I can't recall which ones you mentioned, but like Mom, Young Sheldon, and the FBI franchise stuff could also end up shortening. That's just because they can't make them as much. They had to take time off, so they're just not able to have it. Sydney might actually prefer that, though. A lot of times she watches older shows, and so she has to binge watch all of them. Would you be happy to find... Yeah, so would you be fine if the show... had 16 to 18 episodes and you were waiting to watch them all at one time? That's less pressure. That's less episodes.
Yeah. You know what? That's a positive spin, Nikki. By them creating less, I have time to catch up more.
So maybe you'll be willing to jump in and watch the show if you knew you didn't have 22 episodes to get through.
That's a good call.
Where do you go when you need someone to listen to your problems and give you a big hug? Not here, obviously. This is The Riot on Radio U.
Okay, kind of random, but Nikki, isn't there like something coming back this week on a streaming service that I'm supposed to be excited about?
Well, that is a good question. Do you remember which streaming service it's supposed to be, or what are we talking about?
What you're just saying right there is exactly where I'm at, because I was trying to figure out. I looked at Amazon Prime and I looked at Netflix.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like there's something happening at the end of the month. I can't remember what it is. Like, what the heck is it that's coming back? And I can't remember.
Well,
so
maybe it was, but then it got pushed away. So it could be you.
Oh, no!
It could be you're thinking about the first one.
Thank you to Sean, who just texted it. It's The Mandalorian.
Oh, there we are. Oh, Lexi texted as well. Thank you for saying that.
Thank you, Lexi.
There it is. Oh, so are you excited?
Right. Well,
I thought you would have remembered that. You liked The Mandalorian.
I know. I would be excited if I could remember that it was happening.
Joe remembered. Jeremiah remembered as well. They're all texting.
I legit racked my brain last night trying to remember what is it that is happening this weekend, because what I did see was I got two different pieces of Netflix news, which I'll get to in a little bit. I'll share with you guys. But I was like, man, isn't there something coming to Netflix this weekend that I'm supposed to be excited?
Well, it makes sense that no offense to Disney Plus, we do have it and we do watch it, but we don't check it like Netflix because it just doesn't have as much stuff coming out.
They don't add as much stuff.
No, so you just didn't look there. So yeah, The Mandalorian, the second season.
Okay, all right, season 2 of that. Maybe I should catch up on the last one. I mean, I've seen it. No, I totally did, but I mean, the episodes were pretty short, and there's not that many, and maybe it'd be a good
rewatch
sit
before
down
then.
And rewatch. This is what I say every time a new season of a show starts that I like.
And you never
do it.
So for the new season for Mandalorian, are they still going to release it every week? So it's not like dumped all at once?
As far as I know, yes. I think it's a weekly thing. So that's the new hotness on streaming, because, man, they are just trying to drag it out. Like, how far can we make this last? Because after this, we have nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Using advanced technology, we've digitized and transcoded Obadiah and Nikki into a purely digital format. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
I wanted to talk about some Netflix news, but Nikki just walked back from the kitchen with something that's way more important.
Well, more personal. I don't know if it's more important.
No, it is more important, because I know that not everybody's going to be on board for this, but the reality of it is some of us, me, are trying to help Nikki embrace her new identity as a coffee drinker.
Well, I enjoy coffee.
It's happening.
But it comes in waves, so I don't always drink it. You make it every morning, and then Chris just made a pot. But I am always looking for the right, it's not blend, but it's the right, drink concoction. Is that it?
Yeah.
And I think I found a good one this morning. It's very
okay.
real.
I want
don't make fun of it though.
Give us Nikki's coffee mixer.
Okay, so there's this Premier protein drink that is the Oreo one. So I put half a cup, or half of the cup is the Oreo Premier protein. Then I took some coffee, and then just at the top, I add a splash of the
whipped cream, right?
No, we're gone with that. That's been gone. I add a splash of the Snickers creamer and a splash of the Funfetti creamer. Yes, it's delicious. Oh, just a splash.
Oh my gosh.
And so I have to put the Premier protein drink in as the majority of it, because if not, I'll use way too much creamer, and I don't really like milk. Like, we don't have any here, so I just throw that in there, and I like what I came up with today.
Well, hey, in fairness, like a lot of the coffees that you go get at like a Starbucks, it's like 80% steamed milk.
Yes.
I mean, so it's not like what you're doing has no precedent in the world.
I need filler, a lot of it, and then I put it on ice, so it's an iced drink.
So you go into the break room at 5:30. You're out by what, 6:30 or 7?
No, I'm using all of it. Well, I wasn't really up on the Funfetti creamer on its own, but when you add it just with the Snickers one and with the Oreo milk and with the coffee, it really does a good job. It just kind of blends it all together.
It's nice. It's nice. And it's good, though, right?
It's good. I like it. I'm going with it.
I just want you to know, from where I'm sitting, if you found something good, go with it.
Because it's fine. Everything's all
fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
You know what? Actually, Nikki, that's what we need. We actually need a RadioU or maybe just a RIOT shirt for 2020. The RIOT.
It's fine. Absolutely fine.
It's fine.
Well, thanks for everybody's 5 minutes there to take a listen and hear what my new coffee drink concoction is.
It was important.
The RIOT is well-versed on many different topics.
They're shy at first, but they're quite skilled at conversation.
This is The RIOT on RadioU.
So, as we were talking before, we had a very important detour regarding coffee. I have here in front of me details on I don't know that it's necessarily like the new or the next Netflix series, but they have announced in partnership with Ubisoft, that they're going to do an Assassin's Creed TV show.
Oh, okay. So is it going to be a live action one or an animated one?
Nope, they say it's going to be live action. And so here's the problem to me with this. I'm on board. I have enjoyed the last 2 Assassin's Creed games. However, I would not, and this is where it gets weird, I wouldn't consider myself to be an Assassin's Creed fan because in these Assassin's Creed games, you got 2 things going on. You've got like these historical adventure RPG games, and then there's this kind of meta narrative about the Templars and the thises and the that's, and I don't care about any of that.
You don't like that part of it?
Those are the sequences that I'm just like, skip. Like, how fast can I get past that? Please take me back to the historical weird thing that I was playing. And so the idea of them making a TV show that I assume will be loaded with all of the meta narrative stuff, dude.
It's all the skipping stuff. So, yeah, they would put a ton of that in there.
That's because it would be a lot cheaper because they can film that in modern day settings.
Yeah, probably so. So Assassin's Creed, it had a movie, right? That didn't do well, but it had a movie.
The movie did terribly, and I never saw it. So I have no idea. Maybe I should do that from the basement this week. Check out the Assassin's Creed movie.
They say, we're thrilled to create an Assassin's Creed series with Netflix. We look forward to developing the next saga in the Assassin's Creed universe.
Okay, whatever. So there's that. The other piece of news is yesterday, I don't know, sometime, they released a 45-second teaser for the Godzilla anime that's coming to Netflix. And I'm just going to, okay, I realize we've gone from niche to even farther down. I know.
Here's Godzilla for you.
But they released a trailer for that, and I got super excited.
Oh, is it your style?
Well, it looks very much like it's tied into kind of the lore of the movies, which they did 3 animated movies of Godzilla at Netflix that basically didn't remotely tie into Godzilla at all. And meaning the kind of stuff you see in a movie. Now this looks like, it's got all the other monsters. It has a Jet Jaguar shout out to it. If you don't know, don't worry about it.
Don't look it up. You don't need to learn.
You don't need to know. But I'm just telling you, when I saw all of that, it was like, dude, this is what I'm looking for right here.
Good. I'm glad you got that then.
Yeah, there's going to be a solid 3 to 4 people that are super excited about that.
And we talked about how the other Netflix Godzilla stuff had not really done as well. So we kind of feel like we were surprised that they'd continue to do more Godzilla Netflix anime stuff, but maybe they were under contract to do so much stuff. So we were curious about the style of this one and if it would do any better.
Well, the other thing that I'll say is that apparently the anime, Netflix keeps buying or producing or whatever anime that is just theirs. It's their original stuff. And apparently that has been a huge, source of revenue for them. That is something that is selling their service, especially in other parts of the world.
Yeah, because Netflix Japan was never and has not been as popular as Netflix here for us.
There are probably places in the world where I fit in better than I do right here, but
hey, we're excited, though, that it looks good and that you're excited for it.
Proper planning prevents poor performance. Clearly, the riot didn't properly plan. This is the worst of the riot on Radio U.
I don't know if you guys heard, but coming up next week, apparently there's an election.
Yeah. Well, no, is it next week or the week after? I don't remember which
No,
one is it.
It's next week.
Is it? Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it's November 3rd.
Why didn't you just lie to me and tell me it was the week after?
Well, because a lot of times they refer to that as
False
voter
news.
fraud when people say that.
Never mind. Never mind. Off air, why couldn't you just told me and then made me think I had more time? But yeah, it is. It is next Tuesday.
I'm just trying to help here, guys. I don't know. Okay, so with Election Day next week, of course, people are going to be doing little thises, little that's, little shout-outs to the neighborhood, some free stuff. And this may shock you because they never do this. It is super rare. But Krispy Kreme is going to be doing a free donut on Election Day. Yes.
He's being sarcastic with that because Krispy Kreme is the only place I think that still really does like a free item without you having to buy something else.
Right. Though, you know what? They really are. Like, you got to give them credit in a world where Dunkin' Donuts will probably do this, but they'll require you to buy a cup of coffee or something. Krispy Kreme is giving out free donuts. And they're also going to be giving out I voted stickers that day.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I actually do think that's kind of great because it is a bummer. I voted absentee, and so I didn't get a sticker.
Yeah, you can get one there. That's a great idea. Or if you just didn't pick one up, if you actually went to vote at a polling place, you could just grab another one there. Because if you didn't get the sticker, did you even vote?
Yes, I did.
Well, they say, if you didn't take a picture or get a sticker, then you didn't actually do it.
Did it even happen? And the answer to that is, yes, it happened. I did it. So this, and I love this. They say that they are celebrating, and I quote, democracy, like
a donut.
DOUGH. Yeah, You know what?
It's clever.
I'll give it to
works.
him.
It's fine.
I'll give it to him. You know what? Sometimes you just gotta, even if you don't like it, you gotta give them a little credit for it.
Is anyone else doing anything?
That's the only thing I got details on right now. I think they're smart. They got out in front of everybody else making their announcements, and they're like, hey, free donuts. And I'll tell you, it really doesn't matter who it is that makes that announcement. They pretty much have my attention.
As long as it's now free donuts and a sticker. So it's even better than normal. You get a sticker with it.
Those donuts do look good, man.
In case you're wondering, yes, we do get complaints.
They have gone too far. This time, they are going to be held accountable.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
22 days, Nikki. 22 days away from my flight. I'm leaving on a jet plane.
So Obi is scheduled to go to Oregon for Thanksgiving. But the question is, that'll be your first time flying this entire year with all this stuff is going on. And I know plenty of people are still flying. It just depends. And then they're not making it easy on you, the airline, because they cut down flights. They move the times and stuff. It's just a very harder time to fly if you want to.
Yes. And so I already have stories to tell. Haven't even been to the airport yet.
You've been through a lot and you're not even there.
But I will tell you, every time a story pops up about something happening on a flight, I'm like, oh gosh, I'm going to be right in the thick of this kind of crazy right there.
I know it happens on all the airlines, but it's mostly this one particular airline that it happens the most as far as like the viral videos. So as long as you're not flying this airline, hopefully you should be good.
I am not flying Spirit Airlines.
I've never
Spirit
been
Airlines,
on it.
I haven't either. They are essentially, there may be cheaper airlines out there, but I can tell you this, they are almost without fail the cheapest airline that shows up in a Google Flights search.
So still a major airline, but the cheapest of them all.
Yeah, and they charge you extra for everything to keep their price down. So I don't even think you can have a carry-on. I think you have to pay for that. Do you want a seat? You have to pay for a seat. So
it's kind of a trick because it's so cheap, but it's so cheap because you don't get anything. Whereas you might pay a little extra, but that's built into the price for another airline.
Exactly. So if you can not go to the bathroom and not have a seat, you can really save some money.
Has anybody been on Spirit Airlines that listens? Has anybody taken a flight there?
You know, I would love to hear that. Text us if you have 877-2-RADIO-U. They're back in the news because over the weekend there was a woman let's see, was she flying from Newark, New Jersey to San Juan, Puerto Rico, and she refused to wear a mask. And the dumb part is she's got her mask down around her face.
She's not wearing it the right way. She got it. It's lower, and that caused the problem because you have to have it up and over your nose if you're going to be on a plane.
Man, when you see her punch the flight attendant and it gets real.
Real bad.
Real. And like a punch and a tackle.
So this was the flight that landed in Puerto Rico on Sunday. She was tasered, and it is the one where she's punching a man. They claimed that her and her friends did not want to put their masks over their mouths during the flight itself, and they were actually moving freely about the cabin. So that was the issue. They weren't even taking their seats, and they didn't have their masks on at that time. And that's why everybody else got involved. It wasn't just the airline staff because they were compromising everybody in the plane.
It's great. And I just look at it, I'm like, yep, there it is.
Sounds about right.
That's where I know. Yeah, I'm sure things are going to be a lot calmer and more relaxed over Thanksgiving. That's not going to be. There's not going to be a lot more tension in the air at that time of the year. It should be just fine.
That's fine. So Austin texted. He said, "I've flown Spirit once, didn't have an issue. Was this before COVID or was this during COVID stuff?"
That's good. Look at that. But you know what? I don't have to worry. I'm not flying Spirit. I'm going to fly, one of the really, really good airlines.
I mean this nicely about Obi, but Obi sometimes has this special thing that happens to him where if there's going to be a problem, it happens when he's there. So it's going to happen around him. Maybe not necessarily to him, but he's going to feel the burden and the problems associated with someone else having an issue. So never say never. We'll just see what happens if you do take your flight.
She's telling you the truth. It's real.
It's really special.
It's real.
You're listening to the worst of the riot. Radio U.
You know, people seem to really want to talk about this comfort food streaming list maybe a little bit more than they do the voter fraud that's been caught.
So you want to cover that first? There's a list of streaming items that they say might help you during your time of stress as we get ready for the big election. A lot of people are stressing out. So is there shows or streaming things that can calm you down, like at nighttime, if you're stressed from it all?
So here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
This is from Vanity Fair. So their list is Chef's Table, which is apparently it's a food show.
Netflix show.
On Netflix.
Yeah.
Also on that list, The Great British Baking Show.
Yes. We can all appreciate that.
I just love how chill it is.
Yeah.
I just do.
It's just pastries, guys. It's just cake.
They say The West Wing.
Oh, I wouldn't do that one.
No, I know, right? The Good Wife?
No, that's also political, isn't it? Or at least feels like it.
Isn't The Good Wife, isn't she a lawyer?
Maybe.
I don't know. Whatever.
That feels like, I'm stressed right now. I need to watch something where people's lives are way even more stressed than mine.
All right. Caleb says Tiny Kitchen.
Yeah,
I don't know what that is.
It's a YouTube channel of tiny food and tiny stuff that you can watch. Not that I've seen it.
Carl, of course, is here with Stargate SG-1.
That's his comfort show?
He says, I'm not even trolling. I absolutely love that show. But he also likes Cowboy Bebop and Battlestar Galactica. Those are great choices.
Good choice.
Let's see. And then BJ says Comfort Stream is New Girl.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a pretty good choice.
A lot of people like that one. That's a good one. And it's already out, so all the episodes are there. You can watch as much as you want or skip around it.
Nikki, do you have a comfort stream?
I told Obi I watched on Friday. I went back to the original John Wick, and that made me happy. It was just nice to watch. Just a little violence, little happiness. I enjoyed
just a little bit, no big deal.
I enjoyed that. I float between. I will always go back and comfort watch the British baking stuff. I love that. I'll just pull up an old episode. I watched John Wick. I'll cycle between a version of Pride and Prejudice, and then I'll throw in there sometimes Hot Fuzz, just for fun.
Sure.
So that's usually my go-to if I'm just wanting to watch something to kind of make me feel better.
For me, comfort streaming is without question Seinfeld. Like I watch Seinfeld into oblivion. And if I'm in the mood for a comfort streaming movie, it's going to end up being Big Trouble in Little China.
I don't even know what that one's about. Like I've never seen a trailer or don't you have a shirt? I think that's the only thing I've seen about it, but
I do.
You love that thing.
It's so good. It's so good. It's Kurt Russell.
It's an old thing.
Oh, it's old. Like that movie, it's older than dirt, but it's so great.
So Aaron said Comfort Watches, Chef Show, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Great British Bake Off, and Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec, that's a great choice too.
Yeah, that's a good one. And Joe says The Workshop.
Yeah.
He says it's on Netflix. I don't know what that is.
A lot of people like that too.
I watched the glass blowing show on Netflix. I watched that. Did you see that?
I don't know if I did. I watched
that.
I watched the what was it called? There was this barbecue show that was like a competition. It was almost like the British Bake Off, but United States and barbecue. So I like stuff like that where it's just an easy watch.
Yeah. As long as they're nice to each other. I used to watch Hell's Kitchen. I don't need that kind of intensity right now.
No, this was a competition between people, and they were very respectful. They kept mentioning how like barbecue brings people together, even if you're in a competition against each other. They were still working to help each other, and you don't see that in other shows.
I like that. I like that.
The Riot. Just because it's bad doesn't mean it's not good. Wait. Isn't that exactly what it means? It's The Riot on Radio U.
You know, we'll get to that voter fraud thing.
No, everybody wants to hear about the voter fraud, though. They're all asking.
Are you sure?
Well, I mean, not everybody, but I guess they can wait one more
All
minute.
right, well, I'll tell you what. I had some text messages. We'll do your text messages about streaming stuff after we talk voter fraud. So check this, all right? Deshaun Bogaer, 30 years old, Louisville, Kentucky. He has just been charged with, delay or destruction of mail. That's a federal crime. And so it's technically not exactly election fraud, but here's what it comes down to. He is accused of throwing away 111 absentee ballots.
Oh, so when people would mail him in, he's at the post office and he would throw them away?
Yep.
So that's exactly what you're afraid of when you're dealing with absentee stuff. I'm sure most are fine, but when you hear these stories, it makes you nervous.
So the funny thing about it, though, is that's not all that he got rid of. They say he also got rid of a total of about 400 pieces of mail, 500 pieces, I guess, if you count the 111 ballots. So it may not be that he was really trying to interfere with the election. He may have just decided he didn't really want to deliver the mail anymore.
Well,
and those just happened to be in the mix.
They just happened to be mixed in. And we've heard plenty of stories of people who would like throw bags and bags of mail on their shift. They would just throw them like in ditches, or this one guy had a storage unit and he would put them in there, or they would be in their house. They would just not deliver the mail. So is this politically motivated or just laziness or whatever he's doing motivated?
We actually don't know. So we don't know if he was like one side or the other and he wanted to this. We don't technically have any of those details, but we do know that he has been charged with delay or destruction of mail. That is, get a load of this. If he gets convicted at trial, which it probably won't go that far, he faces up to 5 years in prison and up to a $250,000 fine.
Oh, that's expensive. That's a lot. What? So do you think it's worse for him now because they were absentee ballots? Whereas if he would have been doing this and just throwing away the mail or hiding the mail before election stuff started, it wouldn't be facing the absentee stuff. Like it would have been a little less harsh on him.
I think people probably care more now. My thought is that more than likely this guy completely disappears from the news cycle in a week, and he ends up, they either charge him with a lesser crime or he pleads to something. It'll be something like that, and we'll never hear about it again.
Yeah.
The post office is actually kind of making a big deal out of this story because they're like, hey, your votes are secure with us. Look, we found them. And so that's I feel
That's
like
the
that's
angle?
not a great angle. I don't feel like it is.
But that's
I
getting
feel
ahead of the story, because if they wouldn't have said anything and then this would have got out, then that makes them look worse.
Well, that's what they're trying to do, is they are trying to get out in front of it like that. So you do with that what you will. I will say, if you do vote absentee, which I did, you can track all that info online. And I've done that a couple times, and I watched
So if you've seen yours just stay still for an unusual amount of time, then you know it's not going anywhere past that point.
Though, and I love this, I don't even know who it was. Somebody texted yesterday, and they're like, it's the Domino's pizza tracker all over again. And I can tell you right now, the Domino's pizza tracker is a lie.
They can show you that your pizza's being made, and you call them, they're like, what pizza? Your pizza's not being made. It's not a real thing.
I don't even want to tell you how many times I've sat in the Domino's parking lot, and I pull up, and they're like, yeah, the pizza tracker says my pizza's ready. And they're like, yeah, I'll tell you what, Santa's coming to your house here real soon. Just go in there and wait, okay?
Just give us a few more minutes, we promise.
This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
So in the middle of everything else today, we've been talking about streaming comfort food. That came from an article we read in Vanity Fair, and people have been sending in their text messages. David said that his streaming comfort food, like when he needs something that he wants to just relax, he watches Firefly.
Oh, that's a classic for you.
I haven't watched that in forever.
Does it
That's
hold
not a bad
well
idea.
still? I know everybody still has fond memories of it, but I don't know if it holds up as well.
I don't know. You know what? I'll bet it does, or not.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know.
Still a solid choice there. Good job.
Actually, that is a good choice. Erin says her husband watched Sinister yesterday because it was number 1 on that scary movie list.
Oh, the one we talked about. Who was it? Yeah. Ethan Hawke. It's some movie that they say, according to your heart rate, can be one of the most scariest for people. So I feel like we caused that. We caused them to watch that.
Yeah, no. We flat out, I was explicit. And I said, don't you count this as us endorsing this movie.
We just told you the list. That was all.
I will tell you, last night when looking for something to watch, you know what I ended up watching that I don't recommend and no one should watch ever? Don't be mad at me when I tell you. Because when I tell you, we're not going to be mad,
but are we going to be disappointed? No. What was your choice? Because a click is a vote, so you're voting for it. What did you watch?
I watched the new Rambo movie on Amazon Prime. Mm-hmm, See, mm-hmm. I knew that's what you were. I knew you were going to be disappointed.
That's because I'm a real friend, and we're worried.
I fast forwarded through a lot of it. I kept skipping ahead. It's bad.
Yeah, well, okay, then that's fine. And sometimes if it's a really bad movie, but you want to check it off, just watch the beginning and the end. Skip everything else, or watch the first episode or the first and second. Then the rest is filler, and then catch the last episode.
I'm going to tell you right now, things happened in that movie where I was like, no.
No way.
No, we don't do this. No.
Well, that's not a comfort watch. Don't think Rambo is at all.
No. It was so... Well, okay, I think... I've got Amazon Prime, so I was trying to last night watch something I'd never seen.
Sure.
I was like, I want to find something I haven't seen because I got tons of stuff. I want to see something I've never seen, and that won. And I'll just tell you, it may have won, but I think I lost. So I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't think it won either. No one won.
I don't know what I'm doing.
The worst of the riot is over, but the fun can keep going.
Hey, I saw you checking out my goods.
Check the Riot blog or stalk us on social media.
You want to sample them? A little try before you buy, huh?
Through riot.radiou.com.
What does it mean to be a duck? Search your heart.